66 million years ago, the world was calm, almost too calm. Giant forests blanketed continents, warm seas shimmered under a gentle sun, and creatures of every shape and size roamed freely. Dinosaurs dominated every ecosystem, from the towering titanosaurs on land to the swift raptors that hunted in packs. The Earth was a thriving paradise. But above this peaceful world, far beyond the blue sky, death was coming. A rock, 6 miles wide, heavier than mountains, older than time itself, was racing toward Earth at 72,000 kilometers per hour. It was a wandering asteroid from deep space, drifting silently for millions of years, until gravity pulled it toward our world. Nothing on Earth knew it was coming. Nothing could have stopped it. The asteroid sliced through the atmosphere like a blade of fire. As it fell, the air in front of it compressed so violently that it heated to thousands of degrees, glowing brighter than 1,000 suns. For a moment, night turned into day. Creatures on the ground froze in fear, staring at the burning sky without understanding the doom rushing toward them. And then, impact. The asteroid slammed into the shallow waters of what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with the force of 100 trillion tons of TNT. In a single heartbeat, the world changed forever. The moment the asteroid hit, a fireball erupted, so huge it pierced the atmosphere and touched space itself. The ocean instantly vaporized. Rock, water, soil, and the asteroid itself were blasted into the air, melted into liquid fire, and thrown across entire continents. The shockwave flattened everything within 1,500 kilometers. Forests were torn from the ground. Animals were killed in an instant. Entire coastlines vanished. But the real nightmare was only beginning. The explosion opened a crater 150 kilometers wide, deeper than the Grand Canyon. The ground around it turned into molten rock, glowing red like a fresh wound on the planet's surface. Winds stronger than any hurricane ever recorded blasted outward at 1,000 kilometers per hour, tearing through ecosystems and sending debris flying like deadly spears. Across the world, creatures felt the impact. In Asia, Africa, and South America, animals suddenly stopped, sensing a vibration in the ground that didn't make sense. Birds panicked into flight. Herds stampeded. In the oceans, marine reptiles dove deeper, confused and frightened. No part of Earth escaped the echo of destruction. Within minutes, the sky darkened. The asteroid had blasted trillions of tons of molten rock into space, and as those glowing droplets cooled, they turned into glass-like fragments called tektites. These pieces of molten earth began falling back down, and as they re-entered the atmosphere, they heated again. The entire sky turned into an oven. It was raining fire. Tiny pieces of earth, each glowing like a small star, shot through the atmosphere and ignited forests across the planet. Flames spread faster than animals could run. The heat in the atmosphere grew so intense that even creatures far from the impact zone felt their skin burn. Many died without ever seeing the asteroid or the firestorm firsthand. This was the moment Earth began turning into a sea of flames. Across North America, entire forests exploded into fire. The heat waves rolled through the land like invisible tsunamis, killing small animals instantly. The smoke choked the sky, blocking sunlight and staining the horizon a deep, bloody orange. For thousands of miles, anything that could burn was burning. In the oceans, things were no better. The shockwave from the impact unleashed megatsunamis, walls of water hundreds of meters high. They raced across the seas, smashing into coastlines and pulling entire ecosystems into the ocean depths. Creatures that survived the initial impact were swept away or drowned as the world flooded. But the worst effect was still building. As countless fires raged across continents, colossal amounts of carbon and ash filled the sky. The smoke rose higher and higher until it reached the stratosphere, creating a thick black veil around the planet. Sunlight faded. Day turned to night. The temperature began to drop. This was the beginning of the Earth's darkest winter. But at this moment, right after the impact, the fires still ruled. Volcanoes erupted from the shock. Debris storms hammered the planet. Animals struggled to breathe in the superheated air. The Earth glowed red, orange, and black, like a world forged in the heart of a star. The dinosaurs, who had ruled the planet for over 160 million years, were now facing an enemy they could not fight. An enemy made of fire, heat, and darkness. Every species on Earth was pushed to its limits. Some fought to survive. Others hid. Many simply collapsed, overwhelmed by the chaos. Earth had become a burning world, a world drowning in flame and smoke. The impact didn't just damage the surface. It changed the planet's history in a single moment. It was the most violent event Earth had seen since its creation, and its effects would last for centuries. But this was only the beginning. The real struggle for survival was still ahead. After the fires, after the tsunamis, after the shockwaves, the world would enter its coldest and deadliest chapter. A chapter where only the strongest, luckiest, or smallest creatures would endure. A chapter that would decide the future of life itself. The inferno that swallowed Earth after the asteroid strike was only the first chapter of a much longer nightmare. For hours, firestorms raged across continents, turning forests, plains, and even swamps into blazing wastelands. The sky glowed a hellish orange as smoke and flames swallowed everything in sight. But slowly, almost silently, the fires began to die. Not because there was no fuel left, but because a new terror was taking over: darkness. The sky, once filled with raining fire, now thickened into a suffocating blanket of black ash. The fine dust, soot, and pulverized rock thrown high into the atmosphere formed a global shroud. Sunlight struggled to break through. Daylight dimmed. Colors faded. Temperatures dropped. Earth was now entering a long, deadly winter, the impact winter. The world freezes. Within weeks, the global temperature plummeted. Sunlight, essential for plants to grow, was blocked almost entirely. Trees that survived the fires began to wither. Grasslands turned brown, then black. The food chain, from insects to massive dinosaurs, started collapsing. Herbivores were the first to suffer. Without plants, they starved. Mighty titanosaurs wandered weakening landscapes, searching for food that no longer existed. Some collapsed where they stood. Others gathered near drying rivers, their enormous bones soon sinking into mud that would later turn to stone. Predators suffered next. Tyrannosaurs, raptors, and other carnivores suddenly found their world empty. The animals they hunted were dying or disappearing. Many starved too, their powerful bodies wasting away in a world that no longer supported them. Only small, adaptable creatures stood a chance. Tiny mammals, no larger than rats, hid underground, feeding on roots, fungi, and whatever scraps they could find. Some dinosaurs, like small birds, sought shelter in dense vegetation and caves. Creatures that could burrow, swim deep, or survive on detritus became the unlikely heroes of survival. Oceans in chaos. The oceans were no safer. After the initial megatsunamis, marine life faced a new crisis. With sunlight blocked, photosynthesis in the oceans crashed. Plankton populations, responsible for much of Earth's oxygen and the foundation of the marine food chain, plummeted. Mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and giant marine turtles found their once thriving oceans turning cold and barren. Many starved. Others struggled as ocean chemistry began to change. Acid rain, triggered by the impact's sulfur gases, fell into the seas, altering their pH and killing delicate organisms. For the first time in millions of years, even the oceans, the cradle of life, offered no refuge. Volcanic fury. As if the asteroid weren't enough, the impact triggered global volcanic activity. Fractured tectonic plates shifted violently. Volcanoes erupted across continents. Lava rivers poured from Earth's crust. More ash entered the sky. Toxic gases spread through the atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide formed acid rain. Carbon dioxide trapped what little heat was left, poisoning air and water. Life was hit from every direction. Fire, cold, hunger, poison. It was a world designed for extinction. The last days of the dinosaurs. For dinosaurs, the end came slowly but impossibly surely. In the dark, dying forests, a starving triceratops collapsed, its ribs visible through its once mighty frame. Not far away, A lone tyrannosaurus, too weak to hunt, struggled to stay upright as cold winds tore across the plains. Raptors scavenged whatever they could find, but even their intelligence and agility couldn't save them. The land that once vibrated with the footsteps of giants fell silent. The emperors of Earth, creatures that had ruled for more than 160 million years, were fading from existence. All except for one lineage. Small feathered dinosaurs, ancestors of modern birds, managed to exploit insects, seeds, and tiny ecosystems that clung to life even in the darkness. These birds would carry the legacy of the dinosaurs into the future. Life in hiding. Meanwhile, mammals stayed hidden underground and in tight shelters. Their small bodies needed less food. Their ability to hibernate or slow down their metabolism gave them a powerful advantage. Insects, worms, and fungi, organisms that could survive the cold and darkness, became essential food sources. Every surviving species shared one thing: adaptability. The slow return of light. Months passed. Winds slowly carried the dust and soot lower. Rainfall washed ash from the sky. Gradually, very slowly, sunlight began to return. When the first golden rays pierced the dark clouds, the world looked unrecognizable. Forests were gone. Grasslands were black. Rivers were clogged with debris. Oceans were cloudy with dead plankton. The air smelled of sulfur and decay. But sunlight meant hope. Plants began to recover first. Ferns, resilient and ancient, sprouted across burned landscapes. Their sudden spread is so well known in fossils that scientists call it the fern spike. Where plants grew, herbivores returned. Where herbivores returned, predators eventually followed. Nature was trying to heal. A new world rises. But it was not the world of the dinosaurs anymore. Most large species were gone. T-Rex, Triceratops, Ankylosaurs, Hadrosaurs, all wiped out. Marine reptiles were gone. Flying pterosaurs disappeared. Nearly 75% of all life vanished. In their absence, small creatures flourished. Birds expanded into new ecological roles. Mammals diversified, evolving rapidly in a world full of open space and opportunity. Within a few million years, early primates appeared. Much later, humans. The impact that changed everything. The asteroid that turned Earth into a sea of flames didn't just cause mass extinction. It rewrote the future of life. Without that impact, dinosaurs might still rule the planet. Mammals might never have risen. Humans might never have existed. A single moment, one fiery explosion, changed the entire path of evolution. It destroyed worlds, but it also cleared the way for new ones.